Hello there, this is Petros, and I will be reviewing chapter 1007 titled Tanuki-san from One Piece, of course. In the cover story, we see Caesar, and it's a cover art request by TKA star AC. It has a star there in between the two words, and it's Caesar making balloon presents for baby penguins. So we see Caesar that is lying down on a couch and looking at the penguins with a kind of bored face. And he's making a bubble gum, a big bubble gum that is like a balloon. And we see a bunch of baby penguins there with different hats, each one wearing something in his head. One wears headphones, I think. Yeah, one wears headphones. And the baby penguins are tied to balloons, some of them, and there are balloons in the room too. One is whistling, one is eating, and stuff like this. And they are inside the house. And we see the window there, which also has balloons outside. Right, so this is the cover story, and let's go to the actual chapter. So we are in the live floor Scaldom, and there we see the fighting of the Yakuza bosses and the fighting basically. We see that the ninja squad that protected Orochi is defeated. And so we see the reactions there. And so we hear that there are text bubbles that say, how is this possible? This is from soldiers of Kaido. How is this possible? Most of them, Oniwabashi and Mawaragumi, Rigumi captains have been beaten. They look, Dekogu-san, Kazekage-sama, Commander Hote. And so they're speaking and they're like, this is the legendary power of Hyogoro the Flower. So Hyogoro defeated them. And Apu is like, he endured the Ice Demon transformation and used its power to his advantage. Drake says, now I see why the rest of the world fears Wano. So we cut to Hyogoro, and he's still sitting on the ground, ready to die. He's almost turned completely into an ice demon. And the Yakuza boss there, behind him, is holding his sword still there, and is ready to execute him. And Hyogoro is like, do not hesitate, Yatape, clear your mind. If I turn into an ice demon, I'll... And Yatape is like, I know, please give me a moment. I, I'll do it. I'll do it now. And so he's ready to execute him there. And they all call to Chopper. They call to Chopper, damn it, they won't make it. Tanuki-san, aren't the antibodies ready yet? This floor is going to be overrun by ice demons again. And Kaido's army, Kaido's soldiers, yell, and shout to Queen. And they're like, please save us, Queen Sama. Boss, why do we also have to die from your virus too? And Queen is like, you're questioning me? And so he is in his human form, and he turns into a dinosaur, and he yells at them, "Shut your mouth! You wimps should know your place." And they're all like, "What?" And so Queen continues, and he says, "The Ice Demon virus is my magnum opus. In fact, you could say it was created specifically for you guys. You players were given an opportunity to gain useful abilities. You lost that gamble. You're only good for a laugh." And so we see the pleasures and they're laughing at that. But they're saying, like, that's so heartless. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And, uh, and you waiters, Queen says, no matter how long you wait, there aren't any more smiles coming. You lost your chance at gaining abilities. You're gonna be waiters forever. You losers can only be useful to the almighty beast pirates by becoming ice demons now. You'll blossom in death. He shouts at them. And so they tell him, you're telling us we're meant to die? And Queen is like, that's right. You grunts are easy to replace. And so they're like, how could you say that? This is so cruel. And Queen continues. He says, "I gave you all a chance. That antibody might have been able to save a few of you." And so this is what's going on, and at some point they talk about Chopper, and they're like, They may be the enemy, but the way their superiors treat them is pitiable. And they're like, you samurai are just as bad. What do you think you're protecting here? That Tanuki is also a pirate, right? Do you guys really think he is quickly mass producing the antibody? Don't make me laugh, it's impossible. I bet he's already taken the antibody himself and bolted. And they're like, he's not a bastard like you. I doubt that. Trickery is a pirate's job. And so, at some point, the Yadape that is going to execute Hyogoro, and he's actually make the move to execute him, but then Chopper steps in, and he counters the sword with his, I think it's called the hook. He counters the sword and stops it. And Hyogoro is like, "Whoa, what a relief! I made it in time." Uh, Chopper tells him, and they are all like, "Oh, Tanuki-san," and stuff like this. And it's like your body's starting to warm up. It's a little painful, but you're going to be fine. And they're like, you did it, Tanuki-san. I knew you would come through. And then we see the mink doctor, the goat, and the nurse with the tail, and they're holding a cannon, and they fire the cannon, and the explosion that takes place there is an explosion which in the mushroom in the upper part it has the shape of Chopper's face, and he calls it Chopper Phage Nebulizer, and it's like there are and the queen tells him what the hell Tanuki, and so there are tons of Chopper tells him that there are tons of thousands in this floor, and it would be impossible to administer an injection to them one by one. And so he says that he analyzed the virus and synthesized his own counter-virus based on his methods. And so it's your foul virus against mine. This means the cure is inhalable so everyone can be treated simultaneously. And so Queen is like, how did a second rate pirate like you acquire such medical expertise? And Chopper tells him, we did a lot of training when our crew was scattered all over the world. Who the hell asked you to? But in any way, you even went and cured my subordinates. And so Chopper says viruses shouldn't be weaponized. You're bound to lose control over them eventually. And so Queen is attacking him and is no longer listening to him. And I'm not going to listen to a lecture from a Tanuki. Who the hell do you think I am? And so even the pleasures now, they are all rooting for Chopper. And so Queen kills them. Queen attacks them. Oh no, no! The pleasures get in front of Chopper to save him, and the Queen and from the fire shots from Queen hit them. And so he says, "What are you doing? Get out of the way!" And the pleasures tell him, "Shut up, Queen! You killed almost all your brothers." And Tanuki-san saved them. We'd rather die protecting our savior than continue serving a crazy boss like you. Isn't that right, boys? And so they all agree to that. They yell, yeah. And Marco steps in and he grabs with one of his phoenix flames. He grabs with one of his phoenix flames Queen's neck, right? And so he tells Chopper, now give him your best shot. And so we see Chopper, he uses a rumble ball, he hits a rumble ball, he turns into his monster form, and he slaps Queen very, very hard. And Queen coughs blood. But before that, he says, but let's get one thing straight. And as he does the slap, he tells, I'm not Tanuki. And we see the reactions from all the members there. We see the reactions of Marco, the Yakuza boss, the leader of the pleasures. Yakuza boss is Hyogoro, even Drake. and they're all thinking the same thing. It's a funny scene, and they're like, "We're sorry," because they all thought that it was actually a tanuki. So we cut to the right brain tower, castle interior, and we see Yamato and Shinobu there, Momonosuke inside the clothes of Yamato, and they're having conversation there about of Momonosuke. And so as they're running, they ask Momonosuke, "Are you all right?" And so he says, "I'm not. I feel disgusted with myself. Everyone is expecting from me so much, but I'm a weak, pathetic, spoiled fool. I really hate being like this." And Shinobu tells him, "No, Momonosuke-sama, you're a brave young man." And at that point, Momonosuke turns into a small dragon form, and his tail is back from Yamato's shirt, and his head comes out from her boobs. Yeah. So Yamato is surprised, and he tells Anil, and we cut to the reception room, castle interior. There are the CP0 agents. CP0 agents are there, and so they talk about the devil fruit of Momonosuke. And so they say once, when Kaido was being held captive by the Navy, Vegapunk used his lineage factor to try and synthesize an artificial devil fruit. And so the world government intended to seize the fruit, but it was ruled a failure, and so it was left on Punk Hazard. And so we get explained here, we get an explanation here on the origin of Momonosuke's devil fruit. And so it is basically saying that it was ruled falsely a failure, and that it actually works. And so, how is this relevant to the other CP0 with the thing that he holds in front of his face? In front of his face, ask how it is relevant. And the other, there was a massive explosion on Punk Hazard. I was just thinking, it's fortunate that the experiment was a failure. That's all. And so it's on a bit of irony here because we just had that it was not failure. And so we cut to the storeroom behind the castle tower where the red scabbards are, and they are healing, and they have regained consciousness. They're still recovering, and they are feeling better actually because someone treated their wounds. We didn't know yet. It's from the previous chapter. And so, who treated our wounds? And they say, I don't know. I vaguely remember catching a glimpse of a familiar phrase, but it had to be a dream. There's no way it was real. And so, Kinemon's like that Luffy stepped up to fight Kaido in our stead, but the rest of the island is still at war. So let's go. We still have some fight left in us. And so at that moment, the door opens, and it's Oden's black figure, and he says, "You guys look like you've taken a beating." And so we get the full picture. It's actually Oden. He stands there with his hands on his waist, and he's like, "I've missed you. You've all aged quite a bit." And he's laughing, and they're all surprised. They're falling to the ground, and Kinemon is actually in tears, and he called him like Oden-sama. So this is the chapter. This is the end of the chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.